Issa is on the phone. He's calling his relatives, and he's telling them exactly what he's about to do. He says he's going to get rid of her. He says he's going to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. He asks them to back him up if anyone comes asking. Every word of that call is being recorded. The FBI has had his house wired for 2 years. I'm Cole, and this is Midnight Files. If you're new here, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a case. Tonight's story is about a man named Issa Zain al-Din, a Palestinian man. Born in 1931 on the West Bank, in the 1950s, Issa left Palestine with his family and made his way to Brazil. There, he met his first wife, Fawzia. They built a life together, had children, and things were stable. But after a while, something pulled at him. He wanted to go back to Palestine. So he did, and he brought Fawzia and the kids with him. Then, in 1961, he decided to return to Brazil, alone this time. He left Fawzia and the children behind, said he was going to find work, and in Brazil, he met someone new. Her name was Maria. Maria was Brazilian, Roman Catholic, born and raised. Her family was not happy about their daughter marrying this Arab man. They pushed back hard, but Maria was absolutely gone for him. She married Issa against her family's wishes, against all of it. After the wedding, the tension with Maria's family didn't let up, so the two of them made a decision. They packed up and moved to the United States, settled in St. Louis, Missouri, and life went on. By 1971-1972, Allah blessed them with a daughter. They named her Palestina, after Palestine itself. But her family, her friends, everybody just called her Tina. She was one of 7 children, because after her came 6 more. They were living a stable, comfortable life. Then, Issa sat Maria down and told her the truth. He told her she wasn't his first wife, that there was a woman named Fawzia, still in the West Bank, who was his wife before her. And now that things were settled in America, he wanted to bring Fawzia and his children from that first marriage over to the States. And that's exactly what he did. He went back to Palestine, brought Fawzia and all the children to America, opened up a grocery store, and started running it. The kids from both families were in school. Everyone got American citizenship. And by all appearances, things were good. Real good. Now, we need to talk about Palestina. Tina, because she is the heart of this story. Tina grew up in America, and especially as she hit her teenage years, she was living the full American experience. This was the era of hip-hop, rap music, and the hippie movement. Groups of young people loading up on buses, drifting between states, living simply and freely. Music and freedom, that was their whole world. Tina fell in with that crowd at her university, and she started going out with them. Her father, Issa, he was not okay with this, not even close. He was still an Eastern man at his core, traditional. This lifestyle went against everything he believed in. But Tina had grown up American, and when a kid is a teenager in this country, you can't just lock them down. Of all his children, Tina was the one who had absorbed American culture the deepest, and, slowly, she got close to an American guy, a young man of African-American descent. When Issa found out, he went to his daughter and said, "Baby girl, what you're doing is wrong. This isn't right. I'm warning you." He picked fights with her constantly. Her behavior, her appearance, her relationships. None of it matched the customs and traditions he'd raised her in. Eventually, Tina made him a promise, and then started hiding it. The relationship continued, in secret, and Issa, he became consumed with one thing and one thing only: watching his daughter. Now Tina She was strikingly beautiful. Her mother was Brazilian, her father was Arab, and that combination had produced something extraordinary. And this American guy was completely, desperately in love with her. Isa kept trying, kept pushing, kept talking to her, warning her, trying to reach her. Nothing worked, and this was the one thing that gave Isa some peace. Tina never stopped studying. She never abandoned her education or her goals. She was still on track. That much at least he could hold on to. Time passed. By 1991, Tina had graduated from university, and she had developed a passion, a love for aviation. She started taking private flying lessons through the same university she'd attended. When Isa found out about the flying, he eventually pieced it together. The passion for it hadn't come out of nowhere. The American boyfriend had become a pilot, and Tina had fallen in love with flying because of him. The relationship had never ended. It had just gone deeper underground. Then one day, Isa heard something that shifted everything in his mind. He had a relative back on the West Bank, a young man, single, looking for a wife. Isa reached out to the family. "Send the boy over to America. I'll handle the paperwork. I'll get him settled. I'll introduce him to Palestina. I'll convince her to marry him. This is the only way I can pull my daughter away from this corrupt Western world." The young man came. Isa brought him into the house so he could get to know Tina. Tina couldn't have cared less. The young man tried. He was respectful, he was decent, but he saw exactly who Tina was, a woman who came and went as she pleased, answered to nobody, and believed men and women were equals in every way. He went to Isa and said, "Uncle, I'm sorry. She's never going to adapt to my way of life, and I'm never going to adapt to hers. She wants to live like a Western woman, and that is not something I can accept." Isa said, "Son, I'm counting on you. You are literally the only solution I have for my daughter. She is disgracing me. She is destroying me." The young man said, "Uncle, I'm sorry." And that same day, he packed his passport, bought a ticket, and flew back to Palestine. Isa hit rock bottom. He looked at his daughter, her appearance, her clothes, her attitude, who brought her home late at night, and he felt himself losing her completely. He started watching. Late nights, watching the American boyfriend drop her off at the door. And then one night, he called for her. "Palestina," he said, "what you're doing is wrong." She was done hearing it. But the problem, as far as Tina was concerned, wasn't just her father. Even her mother, Maria, had taken his side. Maria, who had once been bold enough to marry a man her entire family opposed. She had shaped herself into her husband's image. Conservative, traditional, and she backed Isa up completely. But Tina wasn't backing down either. Every time they pushed, she pushed back harder, threatening to call the police, to report that her parents were restricting her freedom. She was a legal adult. She knew her rights. That night, the argument got worse than it had ever been. Isa and Maria were there together, and in the middle of it, Isa looked at Maria. He didn't say a word, just a look, a signal. They had planned this. Maria walked to the kitchen. She came back with a large knife. She handed it to Isa. Tina looked at the knife. She didn't understand. Why does he have a knife? What are they doing? And then Maria stepped behind her. She put her hand over Tina's mouth. She held her. And Isa, her father, lunged at her. He stabbed her. Once, twice, 6 times, all in the chest. He meant every single one. He was not stopping. At the first stab, Tina screamed. She begged. She promised she would listen. She would change. She would do everything he said. Please. She looked at her mother, crying, screaming for her to let her go, to stop this. Maria screamed at Isa. Finish it. Kill her. End this. Let's be done with it. And Isa kept stabbing until she was gone. Now here's where this story gets even more disturbing. After they killed their daughter, their own daughter, Isa and Maria cleaned the crime scene. They hid the murder weapon, and then they called the authorities. They told the police that an unknown intruder had broken into the house and killed their daughter. A robbery, they said. They had been outside when it happened. They came home and found her like that. Police came. The scene was documented. The body was removed. And the investigation began. They questioned everyone. They looked at everything. They couldn't find a clear lead. But then, they found something inside the house. Something that had nothing to do, on the surface, with the murder. The house was rigged. Surveillance equipment, cameras, microphones, recording devices. An entire network planted inside Isa's home. This stunned everyone. The police immediately understood. Someone had been watching this house. And if someone was watching this house, and the cameras were rolling the night Palestina was killed, they found out who put the equipment there. The FBI. The Federal Bureau of Investigation had been running a covert surveillance operation inside Isa's home. Police contacted the FBI. The FBI didn't want to talk. A case like this, answering questions meant exposing an entire operation. They stonewalled. The investigators pushed back. We don't care about your classified investigation. We are working a murder case. We need to know who killed Palestina. The FBI refused to engage, so it went to court. A judge ordered the FBI to disclose. Why had they planted surveillance equipment inside Isa's home, and what had those recordings captured? The American press erupted. Everyone was talking about it. Was this connected to the fact that her father was Palestinian? Was there a terrorism angle? Was it a political killing? It got wild, and under court order, the FBI had no choice. They came forward. They said, we have been surveilling Issa Zain al-Din's home for 2 years. We have no connection to the murder, but we had reason to believe Isa had ties to the Abu Nidal organization, a Palestinian militant group that had carried out operations across the Arab world and beyond. That's why the equipment was in the house. The investigators said, all right. Did the recordings capture anything the night of the murder? The FBI said, yes. They handed over the tapes. And what was on those tapes didn't just capture the murder. It captured what came before it. Isa, before the killing, had gotten on the phone with a group of his relatives. And on that call, he told them exactly what he was planning to do. He told them he was going to get rid of her. He said he was afraid he might get caught. He told them he was going to make it look like a robbery. He needed them to back him up. Every word of it, recorded. And then the FBI released the footage of the murder itself. The actual killing, on tape, all of it. That footage shook everyone who saw it. Investigators, journalists, legal experts. They all said the same thing. It was one of the most disturbing pieces of real crime footage ever documented in American history. The tape was released. It sent shockwaves through the country. Isa and Maria were prosecuted. Isa was initially sentenced to death. That sentence was later reduced to life in prison. Maria also received life in prison. Isa died inside that prison from complications related to diabetes. Maria died in 2014, also behind bars. A documentary was made about this case, and an author wrote a full book about Palestina's story. That is where this story ends.